Have you ever found yourself in a quiet moment only for a specific person to surface in your thoughts? You invited, they're gone from your life. Or perhaps you've moved on from theirs. The shared words have ceased. The messages no longer arrive. You've purged their presence from your digital world countless times, striving to immerse yourself in activity, to focus inward, yet their essence somehow permeates your awareness. In the stillness of night, amidst moments of joy, even when all logic dictates you should be free. And the paradox is you genuinely wish these thoughts would vanish. But they persist. And it feels like an internal battle. Let me assure you, this isn't a sign of weakness. You aren't losing your mind. And you are undeniably not navigating this alone. There's a profound rationale for someone's continued presence in your consciousness, position for, extending beyond mere affection, sorrow, or pleasant memories. In this exploration, we're delving deep, bypassing superficial remedies and common sayings. We'll explore the true psychological currents, the emotional underpinnings, position for, and the inherent meaning behind this universal human experience that so many wrestle with in silence. This isn't just about another individual. It speaks to your deepest connections, your dormant hurts, your unspoken longings, your position for your journey toward completion, and your spirit's yearning for resolution or clarity. The profound truth is, when someone occupies your mind long after their physical departure, it's not always rooted in missing them. More often, your inner self is attempting to impart a vital lesson through them. Perhaps their arrival was to awaken an aspect of your being that had slumbered. Perhaps they served as a mirror, reflecting something within you that cried out for healing. Or perhaps their role was never intended to be enduring, but rather ignite a profound personal evolution. Here's where your power resides. You can reclaim agency. You can discern the subtle signals your mind is transmitting, disentangle the emotional complexities beneath the fixation, and retrieve your precious energy. You needn't remain ensnared in an endless loop of recollections, hypothetical scenarios, and imagined dialogues. Liberation is attainable, but first you must comprehend the underlying forces, the authentic reasons. And that is precisely what this discussion will reveal. This position for 8 profound insights into why certain individuals persistently return to your thoughts, and how to consciously transcend this pattern with resilience, sharp focus, and unwavering self-regard. So, before you instinctively divert your attention, pause. Take a deep breath. You are not here by chance. You are present for a purpose. Because at your core, you are prepared. Prepared to comprehend, prepared to heal, prepared to flourish. Let us embark on this journey together. Position for. You are on the brink of realizing that this internal tug of war isn't the conclusion of your narrative. It is the genesis of something far more significant. Remain with me. Have you ever been fully engaged in your day, working, eating, sharing laughter, when an image of them spontaneously intrudes? No precursor, no logical link, just their face, their distinct voice, a fleeting memory, or a familiar sensation. And without warning, your inner equilibrium shifts, your vitality dips, and your consciousness is momentarily captured by someone who may not even be aware of your existence. What fuels this phenomenon? Why a person remain imprinted on your mind like a recurring melody, even when they are no longer physically integrated into your life? The explanation is rarely simplistic, but the experience in that moment is undeniably real. Position 4, you are navigating an unvoiced conflict between your wandering thoughts and your innate craving for emotional liberation. And it is profoundly draining. You might experience frustration, even a quiet sense of shame. You attempt to dislodge their image. You seek distractions. You maintain a relentless pace. Yet their presence lingers. Why? Position, because when an individual consistently occupies your thoughts, it transcends merely them. It's deeply connected to what they symbolize within your inner landscape. At times, that person encapsulates a cherished aspiration you held, a profound sense of being recognized, embraced, desired. Other instances, they represent a lost moment you cannot retrieve, a segment of your life that concluded without resolution. Position 4, they might have been the first to truly comprehend you or the one who irrevocably fractured your trust. Regardless, they left an indelible emotional mark, and the mind does not readily release these profound emotional imprints. It's crucial to acknowledge that not every thought of someone implies lingering affection or a need for their return. Sometimes, it's simply your mind's processing mechanism at work. Your brain re-engages with individuals who exerted a potent influence, be it positive or negative, because it's striving to create coherence from the experience. It seeks understanding, clarity, and eventual resolution. But in the absence of definitive answers, your mind cycles, leaving you feeling ensnared. Yet, here is the stark reality: you must embrace. Incessant thoughts of them do not signify destiny. It may simply indicate they represent your most profound unaddressed wound. And wounds do not mend through avoidance. They heal when they are genuinely confronted, approached with brutal honesty and compassionate acceptance. When you discern that your persistent thoughts might not be love, but rather about loss. It could be about your own sense of self. It could be about the version of you that existed when they were a part of your reality. The liberating news: you are not passive in this mental loop. You possess the capacity to acknowledge their mental presence without ceding control over your life. You can observe the thought, comprehend its root, and then consciously release it. Because authentic healing commences the moment you cease asking, "Why can't I eradicate them from my mind?" and begin inquiring, "What within me did they illuminate that still requires attention and care?" So do not flee from these thoughts. Engage with them, extract their wisdom, then emancipate yourself from their hold. For your mind is sacred territory, and not everyone merits permanent residence. Let's delve into the nature of emotional attachment. When someone occupies your thoughts relentlessly, it's frequently less about the individual themselves and more about the energetic imprint you've exchanged with them. Understand this: every bond you forge isn't solely physical or verbal, it's profoundly energetic. You invest fragments of yourself into dialogues, shared moments, laughter, vulnerability, and even disagreements. And the deeper your emotional investment, the more profound that unseen connection becomes. This is precisely why simply ceasing to think about them isn't a matter of sheer willpower. It's about gently disentangling a bond that was intensely charged emotionally. Emotional attachment doesn't demand constant physical presence. It thrives in the realm of memories, in collective aspirations, in hopes that once flourished between you. Sometimes the person on your mind isn't even actively in your life, yet the version of them that resided in your heart persists. That mental construct, that feeling, that experience, it doesn't simply dissipate, because energy lingers. The echoes of conversations, the intimacy, the emotional highs and lows, they all leave an impression. Consider them as emotional fingerprints etched upon your spirit. You can attempt to ignore them, but unless you truly purify your energetic space, they will subtly assert their presence when you are introspective, solitary, or emotionally vulnerable. But here is the critical understanding. Just because the energy was potent doesn't mean it continues to serve your highest good. Many of us misinterpret attachment for intrinsic worth. We assume, if I can't stop thinking about them, they must hold profound significance. Yet often what you cling to isn't the individual, but the sensations they evoked within you. The affirmation, the exhilaration, the sense of security, the illusion of profound connection. And when you grant someone profound emotional access, they integrate into your internal reality. But what transpires when they depart and you neglect to reclaim your emotional energy? They remain within your mind, not because they are divinely intended for you, but because you never retrieved what you generously extended. This is precisely why emotional detachment is an immensely powerful act, not as an expression of indifference, but as a profound gesture of self-reverence. It's declaring, I acknowledge the depth of what we shared, but I consciously choose to recall my energy now. I choose to restore my inner serenity. So, how does one initiate the process of genuine emotional disentanglement? You begin by honoring your emotions, not by suppressing them. Feel the pain, acknowledge the bond, but then deliberately redirect your focus. Not on what was lost, but on what you intrinsically possess, your aspirations, your vitality, your unfolding future. Cultivate new patterns, new wellsprings of joy. Establish boundaries, not merely with them, but with the narrative of your own thoughts. And most vitally, afford yourself the grace of time. Emotional liberation is not an instantaneous event. It is a gradual unveiling. But each day you consciously choose tranquility over preoccupation, presence over yearning, is a significant stride toward your complete restoration. Recall, your energetic essence is sacred. Do not permit someone to reside in your mental space without contribution when they no longer nourish your spirit. Reclaim your power, because the individual you require most profoundly right now is yourself. A primary reason an individual lingers in your mind is that the narrative shared between you feels incomplete. There was no authentic conclusion, no definitive closure, no genuine farewell, only silence, emotional distance, a lingering pause that never solidified into a period. And your mind, it fundamentally resists open loops. We are inherently programmed to seek resolution. This is why we continue watching films even when the ending is predictable. This is why we re-examine past communications, searching for latent significance. This is why someone you haven't engaged with in months or even years can still occupy a significant portion of your mental landscape, because the story did not culminate as your heart desired. Perhaps they departed without explanation. Perhaps they vanished after expressing care. Perhaps they showed affection one day and treated you as a stranger the next, leaving you with a vortex of unresolved emotions. It's akin to your heart attempting to complete a book devoid of its final chapters. So, what transpires? Your brain incessantly replays scenes, striving to craft an alternate ending. It conjures scenarios where they reappear, where they finally utter the words left unspoken, where they acknowledge their missteps, where everything suddenly harmonizes. But here is the profound truth: closure doesn't always originate externally. Sometimes, closure is the narrative you consciously decide to discontinue telling yourself. You may never receive the apology, you may never be given a reason, you may never comprehend their departure or why circumstances shifted. And while this is a challenging truth to internalize, it represents one of the most transformative shifts you can make. For when you accept that not every story requires its final chapter to be written by another, you empower yourself to author your own conclusion. Unfinished narratives frequently leave us feeling disempowered, as if suspended in a state of perpetual anticipation for someone to return and complete the emotional puzzle. But here's what is often left unsaid: you are not obligated to wait. You do not require permission to progress. Sometimes, the closure you seek isn't about them at all. It's about granting yourself the liberty to release the lingering hope, the ceaseless questions, the waiting. It's about confronting the emotional debris and declaring, this may never make logical sense, and yet I choose to move forward. Releasing an unfinished story doesn't diminish the connection you once shared. It means you are consciously prioritizing inner peace over turmoil, personal growth over confusion, and self-worth over obsessive thought. This is not weakness, it is profound wisdom. So, the next time they surface in your mind and you sense that familiar ache of unresolved issues, remind yourself, you are entirely capable of concluding this chapter, even if they never provided an ending. Because genuine healing isn't about waiting for the past to rectify itself. Healing is the conscious decision that the past no longer dictates your tranquility. Sometimes it isn't affection, it isn't fate, it isn't even a deep emotional bond. It's a mental habit you've unconsciously cultivated. A recurring pattern that consistently draws your thoughts back to that same individual. Your mind is an extraordinarily potent instrument, but it can also become your most formidable adversary if left unsupervised. When you incessantly contemplate someone, your brain begins to assign them undue importance, even if they are no longer relevant to your current life. This repeated thought morphs into a fixed pattern, a routine, a reflex. Like a learned physical movement, your mind becomes accustomed to revolving around that particular name, that specific countenance, that singular memory. And before you realize it, they aren't merely residing in your heart, they are intricately woven into your very thought processes. This is where overthinking becomes perilous, because you are no longer simply recalling someone, you are meticulously dissecting every detail, every utterance, every gesture, every communication, every period of silence, every minute action. You analyze, you replay, you strive to decipher hidden meanings. Your mind transforms into a tribunal where every interaction is subjected to intense scrutiny, and you serve as both counsel and adjudicator, endlessly pursuing a verdict that forever eludes you. Why did they say that? What was their true intention? Did I make a mistake? Overthinking traps you in a cycle that yields no genuine answers, only more inquiries, greater perplexity, and profound emotional depletion. This repeated thought morphs into a fixed pattern, a routine, a reflex, like a learned physical movement. Your mind becomes accustomed to revolving around that particular name, that specific countenance, that singular memory. And before you realize it, they aren't merely residing in your heart, they are intricately woven into your very thought processes. This is where overthinking becomes perilous, because you are no longer simply recalling someone, you are meticulously dissecting every detail, every utterance, every gesture, every communication, every period of silence, every minute action. You analyze, you replay, you strive to decipher hidden meanings. Your mind transforms into a tribunal where every interaction is subjected to intense scrutiny, and you serve as both counsel and adjudicator, endlessly pursuing a verdict that forever eludes you. Why did they say that? What was their true intention? Did I make a mistake? Overthinking traps you in a cycle that yields no genuine answers, only more inquiries, greater perplexity, and profound emotional depletion. What's more, overthinking fabricates illusions. It leads you to believe they held more significance than they did, that something enduring remains, that perhaps they too are thinking of you. But the unvarnished truth is, you might simply be caught in a mental loop, and the singular path to disrupt this loop is through heightened awareness. You must learn to intercept these thoughts when they arise, not to suppress them, but to consciously redirect them to challenge their utility. Ask, is this thought contributing to my growth? Is this preoccupation elevating me or keeping me stagnant? You break the pattern by cultivating intentionality, by substituting those intrusive thoughts with constructive actions, with meaningful objectives, with revitalized routines, new connections, and novel experiences that draw your mind into the present instead of chaining it to the past. Your mind, by its nature, will gravitate towards the familiar even if it brings discomfort. However, you possess the innate capacity to train it to prioritize what is nourishing, what is empowering, what aligns with your unfolding future, not merely your fleeting emotions. So, the next time you find yourself spiraling in thought, pause. Breathe, ground yourself, and gently remind your mind, we are not venturing down that path today. We have more meaningful destinations, because genuine freedom commences within the mind. And when you assert dominion over your thoughts, you reclaim authority over your entire existence. Now that you possess a deeper understanding of the emotional, psychological, and even spiritual underpinnings for someone's persistence in your thoughts, here is the imperative truth. It is time to reclaim your energy. Yes, constant rumination, particularly when it encroaches upon your inner peace, signifies that this individual is occupying mental real estate they no longer deserve. If you are earnest about profound healing, personal evolution, and ascending to your highest potential, you must undertake deliberate steps to pivot your focus back to yourself. Honestly ask yourself, what tangible benefit has clinging to their memory provided? Has it fostered healing? Has it brought serenity? Or has it depleted your vital force, created distraction, and impeded your progress? Because regardless of their past significance, regardless of the feelings you once harbored, your life was never intended to revolve around a person who is no longer actively present. You have ambitions to pursue, dreams to materialize, and profound inner work to accomplish. Every moment consumed by dwelling on someone who departed, inflicted pain, or simply progressed is a moment diverted from actualizing your fullest self. So, how does one initiate the authentic process of letting go? Begin with conscious awareness. Learn to recognize precisely when your mind drifts back to them. Refrain from self-judgment, simply observe. The objective isn't to forcefully suppress these thoughts, but to gently guide them elsewhere. Each time they emerge, make a conscious choice to redirect your attention. Engage with a compelling book, take a restorative walk, articulate your emotions in a journal, practice intentional breathing. Remind yourself of your inherent worth. Next, conduct an honest inventory of your daily habits. Are you compulsively checking their digital presence? Are you revisiting old messages, photographs, or shared memories? If so, it is time to decisively break that pattern. Block, delete, remove anything that consistently triggers this mental preoccupation. Do this not out of animosity, but from a place of profound self-love. True strength isn't found in feigning indifference, but in actively safeguarding your inner tranquility. Furthermore, invest deeply into your own existence. Cultivate a routine that genuinely inspires you. Reconnect with dormant passions. Surround yourself with individuals who uplift and ignite your spirit. The more profoundly enriched your life becomes, the less room there is for thoughts that no longer serve you. And finally, forgive. Forgive them. Not because they necessarily deserve it, but because you deserve that liberation. And even more critically, forgive yourself for caring too deeply, for lingering too long, for offering too many opportunities, for clinging to hope when true progress called for moving on.